I forgot I'd left it on black. Good evening, my fellow travelers on Spaceship Earth. It is I, and I am Guy. I'm coming to you live from Applewood Station, where it is 24 degrees with smoke. Wonder where all that smoke's coming from. Oh well. I don't know where all that smoke's coming from. The smoke's coming from somewhere out there. Somewhere there. Computer, what's the temperature in the office?
The office temperature is 26 degrees.
It's still 26 degrees in here. Oh, good. Good. Excellent. Welcome back. Welcome back to the world of 26 degrees, apparently. Why am I in small mode? Now I'm in bigger mode. Computer, turn on warp core. Like the warp core is not on. Things are like very strangely not working the way they're supposed to. I don't know what's going on. Well, welcome back, MD. I, of course, am still struggling with my story. We'll see how this goes. We'll see. All right. Okay. I'm going to switch over to... Well, yes. And I'm not talking about 26 degrees Fahrenheit, though. I am talking about 26 degrees Celsius, which is still in the 80s Fahrenheit. So, and it actually was getting dangerously close to the hundreds today. And apparently next week it's going to be near 100 again here, Fahrenheit. But I have just had my furnace died. And so I had since the furnace died, I had the furnace reinstalled with a AC component put onto it. So I'm trying to figure out why my office got up to 26 today. It shouldn't, because the AC's been set for 19 this whole time. So I mean, it was just put in 3 or 4 days ago. So, you know, I'm just seeing whether it's actually doing its job or not. You know, is it doing its job? Do we know? Does anybody know? Yeah, because it's saying that what I'm seeing here is it's saying that the thermostat got set to 19, but I'm not sure whether it's doing its job or not. There we go. That should help a lot. I'm trying to get this off. Oh yeah, see, I'm into that. That's cool. A kaiju set in Antarctica. I actually kind of like both of those. I don't think my child made it to the shower, which aggravates me to no end because I think my child waited until I started doing my show before they decided to not get into the shower. And now I'm going to have to go yell at them during the actual show. And I don't really appreciate that. So give me one moment to yell at my child. Once you're in the bathroom, I can get back in there. Well, we have a teenager. And it seems to be of the nature of teenagers. I don't know what the story is, but teenagers have a problem with this particular task. So I personally absolutely adore showers and take them as many times as I possibly can get away with them. In fact, I take them a little too much apparently because my skin gets dry and stuff now. So because old. So there's that. Shrug. What do I know? All right. I don't know which one you should start with first either. I think they all sound awesome. But I mean, I'm going for the Space Samurai story because I'm biased. So that's me. I wouldn't take that as necessarily the good evening, Brent. I wouldn't take that as gospel, but you get the idea. All right, we're on the other side here. Space Dragon in humanoid form is cool. Just gonna say. Well, and not making the choice for you. I'm just saying that if you were to ask my opinion, yeah, no. I like sci-fi. They all sounded good though. Okay. So how you doing, Brent? All right, sounds like a thing. If you want to post them to the Discord, you can. That'd be awesome. You don't have to. I'm just saying that if you want to, you are more than welcome to. All right. Your Lola bot. That's awesome. Now there's the the Pip droid that's in Acolyte. He's also adorably fluffy and small, and very maneuverable, like, or very useful. Like, it's got like a whole bunch of pieces that need to move. So good night, MD. Good to see you. Glad you joined us. When you lose your own characters' names, you've forgotten them already. Oh, we'll figure it out in a second. He'll come back to me. I can see his face, but I can't see it. It's all right. We'll get there. We'll get there. That works. Oh, we just found out that tonight, anybody who's not paying money for X now cannot broadcast anymore. So I'm not allowed to broadcast on X, and I'm not paying money for it. So I mean, I would understand if they had competition or if they didn't have competition, but they seem to be doing all the things that they can do in their power to make them the most odious of the what's this? So social medias. It's weird. Trying to figure out which will happen first. Will I pull up the character list, or will I remember the name before? Which one of these things is going to happen first? Tom. Damn it. Why did that take so long? That's all right. Yep, it was right. It took the character list first. Naturally. Yeah, that's what I did. I just went straight to this character list and figured it out. And then we're going to have to figure something out in between here. I think there's a fourth scene. So I feel like we've got to come up with a solution to solve the gravity problem that will get thwarted, but shows that Chang is really sharp. Originally, they were going to do a thing at the star. In the original first draft of this, there was a thing that they were going to do to stabilize the star. And maybe it wouldn't be horrible. Like, originally my thought was that this is kind of, I'm now kind of thinking it through. And now that I think of it, I'm like, well, now wait a minute. What we might have is a situation where, let's think this through. Okay, the gravity is too badly messed up for them to use their warp drive, so to speak. It's too dangerous. So they need to stabilize the gravity wells of the system. And then I'm like, well, okay, but they could do a reconfigure the warp core. It's a very Star Trek sort of thing to do, right? Reconfigure the warp core and do a widget that will cause them to cause the planet to, or the star to give emit a gravity stabilizing widget thingy. That's probably what we should do. The plan is to stabilize the gravity using the Kittiwake's gravity generator. But it'll burn it out. Next ship due. In 6 months. There we go. Without the Bregman, no one knows there's problems here. There we go. That's the trick. What do you think there, Brent? I'm just trying to find a smart enough thing to show that she's smart, and it's gonna put the ship in a little bit of jeopardy to force, because we have to force Alex's hand. Alex has to decide that she needs to go ahead with her little plan to bring the thread to Moment. And so if we do that, the Kittiwake goes down to the star and beeps the beeple bop and pulls the widget wop, and the gravity generator completely overloads, pulling a piece of the gravity fabric around the sun around, or whatever. And there it sounds like she did something cool, but it's going to blow out the gravity generator, which would leave pretty much the Kittiwake in a solar orbit for a while. And how long will the Kittiwake have to sit in solar orbit? For 6 months. Because that's the time that the next ship will appear. And by then they'll find out that there was a problem. Because, of course, the problem with Moment is it's too far away from anywhere. By light speed, it'll take years for a signal to get to the repeater. Just because they're out in the middle of nowhere. So we've got to kind of add that little bit of information so that Moment is just too far out. So the distress signal won't ever retreat, it won't ever get out of the system. Then I don't know if we need to be space worthy. We could be back in. We will be back in moment within the hour. Restart your PC. I'll see you on the flip side. All right. Now we're halfway through. I'm going to take this guy, move him over here. Because really we're on this half of this. Come back over here. Grabbing the pen. Right. Welcome back. Your PC takes almost no time to restart. I'm just putting all the thoughts in this scene in this one spot. So we're pawns in somebody else's war. Again. The only problem is we're heading up to this midpoint in the middle of the story, and I'm heading up on it without a good cliffhanger. Suddenly, nothing worked. Man shakes fist at cloud. Oh, man. I need to come up with a good cliffhanger here. I think 7, 6 and 7, right? That's what you do. If you have a cliffhanger, you add a cliff bar. I'm just feeling like between 6 and 7 is going to be like 6 is the low point. The problem is I don't want to break between 4 and 5. Well, I need a break between 4 and 5 on the scenes. Hit the halfway point. I need a break between 4 and 5. How do I kind of come up with a good break between 4 and 5? And now we're thinking this through, trying to figure out. So where we are on this one is there are 8 scenes in this comic. I can add scenes, and I'm thinking I probably will add a 4.5 scene in here, which is just the scene between 4 and 5, which is fine. But I need to be able to put a little bit of a cliffhanger between 4 and 5 so that whenever, if you were to divide this up into 16-page units, each 16-page unit will still be its own little short, leap to a stop. And it'll have a little bit of a cliffhanger to hold you to the next section. So also probably the end of her captaincy if she does it, 'cause she's gonna trash the Kittywig pretty good, and she's cognizant of that. I don't know. I mean, that doesn't ring totally true, but I don't feel like there's enough stressor here. Like, I feel like I should up the ante just a little bit right here at the end of scene 4. question is how. Hmm. So this is me thinking through stuff here. Well, I think either way, this is our epilogue. Right? We have a home ship here. Well, and I'm thinking that probably Chang doesn't need to stop anybody, drop anybody off. It's not life or limb threat to the Kittiwake, but it is going to put them out of commission for 6 months. But they'll still be able to return back to Moment to at least help rebuild and stuff like that. There we go. And this probably then should be Kittiwake. And it should be better spec. And May Realm talking about being stranded. Okay. Hey, George, I'm in here. He's lost in the house again. I'm lost. I don't know what to do. I'm lost. Computer, what's the temperature in the office?
The office temperature is 25 degrees.
Gone down a degree. Right? Or Kiddo. Kiddo's closed the door. I think that's the biggest sin that has been committed, is that Kiddo has closed the door. And thus, a crime has occurred. Computer, what's the temperature outside?
Right now, 23 degrees Celsius. Tonight, expect a low of 16 degrees.
The 16's nice. Problem is, I'm feeling tired and run down today. I don't know what my problem is, but I'm particularly run down. I'm not feeling particularly. I think I want to solve this problem, but I think maybe both of us need to. Yep, Kiddo's here for the next week or so. So, but I also work tomorrow. Boy, that is. Today has been such a meh day. I think part of it is that I've got to go to the Department of Education and just sit on somebody's desk. And I don't want to. But I keep calling them. They keep putting me off and not talking. And then I can't start school until I find a way to pay $5,500 to the school because they've changed my status. Which I think is part of the reason I'm just like, ugh, today. I just feel so aggravated by this whole situation. But can't do it till next week. Yeah. And sleep till noon, but you know, it's a thing. But yeah, that's the thing. It's like, well, and so the problem that we've got is the Department of Education has decided that if I were to try to be a teacher, I can't because I don't have a degree. Well, but they've also said that I have a degree when looking for any financial aid. So I don't get any financial aid because I've already got a degree. And so I've been trying to get to the Department of Education and saying, look, here's the deal. You can't say both. You can't say I don't have a degree when looking for a job, and I do have a degree when trying to get financial aid to fix the reason that I don't have a degree, which is why I can't get a job. You can't do both of those. So which one is it? Or can you wave a magic wand and give me special dispensation? You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of one of the things I'm having the problems with, and it's In the end, it looks like the only solution we're going to have is that I'm just going to have to take an inordinate number of student loans out and just keep taking student loans out. And yeah, and it's going to end up with me taking $20,000 or $30,000 of student loans out. And I don't want to do that. That's not the battle plan that I want to go with. You know what I mean? That's not how I want this to work. But I'm not getting a job, and even if I did now, it's terminal guidance for college, so we've got to figure out how to make it work through the end of the year and then through the end of the school year. So this next school year, I've got to figure out how to make it work. And so I'm thinking there's nothing I can do. We're just going to have to, tie things down and hope for the best, So anyway, it's aggravating that that's become the thing, and I think that's part of the reason why I'm down today, is I don't think there's any way to beat this. I don't think I'm going to be able to beat this. I think there's no choice. I'm just going to have 30 grand in student loans, and I don't want 30 grand in student loans because they're going to start wanting that money the second I leave school. But as James so quaintly put it, I will probably die before I pay them off. But that's becoming even more bleak. You know what I mean? It's like, ended up with student loans from 2002 to the rest of my life, And it's just like, hey, some user, I'm sitting here hating on the American system again. So, I don't know. Yeah, and I really don't, but on the flip side, I got nowhere else to go on this one. It's not like I'll never be able to be a teacher without a degree. In fact, I'll never be any job that I want to do without a degree. I could spend the rest of my life doing jobs I don't want to do and probably make okay money at it, but it's still, but that's becoming a real. And I've spent years trying to find a way around this. I spent 13 or 14 years trying to find a better way that did not involve me going back to school. And it just really wasn't one. And all I really did was just end up with my life sort of falling apart around me because I wasn't going anywhere. I wasn't moving forward, and I wasn't fixing the problems, and I wasn't doing anything. So my life sort of fell apart around me. So, right? But that's the problem. Walmart's not going to pay me enough. My school's not going to pay me enough. And I just don't have the time. I can't afford to get a job that puts me working while my kid is supposed to be doing their homework. My kid's not doing their homework. Somebody needs to sit there with my kid and help my kid do their homework. And that's not going to be my partner. She's not really into that plan, so it's going to be me. It's got to be me. That's where we are. So, can't have 62 jobs. I don't think I've got the energy for it either. Anyway, just don't think I have enough power left in me to run multiple jobs, So, I mean, my job right now is pretty brutal. I stand all day, and people are like, well, you probably don't really stand all day. No, I literally do. I don't sit down the entire day, except at lunch. I get my 25 minutes of sitting down time at lunch. I've been trying to find more time to sit down, like during movies and stuff like that, but we only show 3. So it's not like we got a whole bunch of movies that I show. So, but yeah, it's just one of those things. I'm just feeling a little overwhelmed right now. I'm feeling kind of trapped, feeling like there's no real way out of this. my options are pretty much take an insane amount of student loans out or take an insane amount of student loans. I've been signing up for scholarships, but I'm not gonna. I've been looking for a job for 13 years. I'm not going to count on scholarships. It's like, I don't know. So, some user, welcome to me being grumpy and cranky night. Well, I mean, that's typically what happens. Nothing. They just keep pestering you forever and ever and ever, and you have to keep putting them in deferment. And somewhere, well, I mean, the biggest problem, of course, is that my credit will be trashed. One of the reasons we are in the situation right now where I am, where there is a chance that I'll have to sell this house and move, is because of the fact that this house, I didn't have the credit to be part of the to be on this title or on the loan, and in order for me to be on the mortgage, I have to refinance this house. And right now, the interest rates are so high that it would literally make my mortgage jump up 200%. 215%, I believe, is what it would go up. So I'd go from paying around $1,200 a month to paying something in the order of $2,600 a month. So, well, that's the thing. So, haven't really been talking a lot about this, but my wife and I are splitting up, and that's part of the problem. And with her splitting up, she owns this house pretty much. And I don't own anything. I barely had enough credit before with my previous degree, which ended up being bunk, and I ended up owing a lot of money on it and not being able to get a job because I didn't have a degree. And that ended up putting me in a really lousy situation financially. I didn't have the credit, so nobody would loan me money. So I couldn't get a house, I couldn't get a car, nothing like that. I had to rely on her credit to do all of those things. And now that we're going our separate ways, her credit's no longer helpful to me, as it will. But it also means that racking up more student loans is just going to put me right back in the same position, which is I have too much debt to take out any more loans. That's the biggest problem, is when you have high student loans, they consider your debt to income ratio. And so they look at how much money you're making versus how much money you owe. And if you owe $70,000 and you make $25,000 a year, then they're going to say, yeah, we're not loaning you anything. You don't have any credit. And that's where I have been for the last 15 years. So there's nothing I can do to transfer to once I've done this. Right now, I'm debt free for the first time in 20 years because my loans from my previous degree got forgiven because my previous degree is invalid. So they took away the degree, but at least they neutralized my debt. But they did it last year at Christmas time. So they did that at Christmas, so I have been debt free since the 25th of December of last year. And now I'm about to put myself into a ton of debt again, because as far as this is the problem, that what we're running into is that the Department of Education has said that any degree from Westwood College, which is the college I was from, is invalid. It doesn't count anymore. But then I tried to sign up for student aid, and they said, oh, but you already have a previous degree, so you can't have student aid, because people don't go back for an undergrad degree twice. You usually just go for one bachelor's degree. So if you're going back again, people feel like you're abusing the system, so they don't give you any help at all for a second bachelor's, which I don't think is wrong necessarily, except, well, that's the thing. So that's part of the problem. They at least took my loans and nullified them. But now I need to fix this problem by going back to college, which is why I went back to college in January this last year. I went back because there's a college here called Metro, and they said that they would take and accept 90 credits of my previous degree so that I didn't have to retake English 101 and Math 101 and stuff like that. And so they were willing to do that. Well, that leaves me 3 semesters to graduation, which puts me as a senior, and that's awesome. But then in March, they said, however, the Department of Education has decided that you had a previous degree, so you are on your second bachelor's degree, and we can't give you any assistance for that, because if you're going for your second bachelor's degree, then clearly you're abusing the system or whatever. We have kind of safety locks to prevent people from going back to school over and over and over and over and over, and using up all of their assistance from the government. So, which, this is another one of those things. We built all of this structure to stop like 100 people from doing a bad thing. So people were doing bad things, but it wasn't a significant number. It was just like 100 people or whatever. And instead of just saying those 100 people need to stop or whatever and not letting those 100 people have it, they built a system up so that I am now not allowed to do anything for fear that I might be doing something bad, which we're not. But I still can't get a job. Any job that requires a bachelor's degree, I can't get. I'm not allowed to, because I don't have a bachelor's degree. Except that I also have a bachelor's degree if you are looking at giving me financial aid for college. So I called the Department of Education and said, you know, you guys have to make up your mind. Either I don't have a bachelor's degree, or I do have a bachelor's degree, but you can't say I can't be a teacher because I don't have a bachelor's degree, and then turn around and say you don't have a bachelor's degree, or you do have a bachelor's degree when you want financial aid. There has to be a way for me to fix this. And then the Department of Education hasn't really responded yet, which is where I am right now. Is I'm going to have to drive down to the Department of Education and go in there and sit on people's desks until somebody listens to me, because right now I have a hold. I can't start classes until I pay $5,500 to the school, because they nullified all of my financial aid. And so all of the financial aid that I was going to get to help me disappeared. So now I have to pay out of my pocket for my bachelor's degree. Worse than that, here's the part that really made me mad about this whole thing, is not only did I have all of that stuff lined up, but I got a $1,000 a semester scholarship for Finish What You Started, which requires that you are a person who's going back to college to fix a problem like this. Like, that's what they made it for. Oh, yeah, no. Well, and that's part of this stressor, and the reason why I'm all stressed out is because my wife is heading on her own tangent that does not involve me anymore, and so I don't have her income anymore. And at least this house isn't super expensive, except I had $63,000 in student loans when we bought this house in 2012, which means that my credit was not good enough for me to co-sign on this house. So the house doesn't belong to me. It belongs to my wife. And the cost of living here right now, a 1-bedroom apartment is $2,200 a month. Just a 1-bedroom apartment. So I could, if I were to be kicked out of this house, I can't afford it. I can't afford a 1-bedroom apartment. I'm going to have to move to someplace else. But it's not just someplace else. Even where Brent is in Topeka, the prices are going up. I looked at Salt Lake City. I looked at Lincoln, Nebraska. I would literally have to move to nowhere, like Oakley, Kansas, someplace where there's nobody around, and work at a McDonald's. That's pretty much what I'd have to do, because there's no way to do a job here without a bachelor's degree, and because the pay isn't commiserate. So it's gotten ridiculous. It's just gotten insane. But it's not just here, it's everywhere. No, don't worry about it, man. You're still having insomnia. Yeah. Gotta tell you, you're not the only one getting insomnia from all this stress. So the whole point here is this. This is my mission statement. One, I want to get my doctorate. I want to get my doctorate for a couple of reasons. One, you're still actually doing pretty decent over there in Topeka. It's catching up with everybody. I tried to look at Salt Lake City, and it's already in the 1800, 1900 a month range for a one bedroom sort of stuff. They're already climbing. So you're doing better there. But of course, there's nothing I could do in Topeka either. I guess I could be a driving instructor there too. But Topeka also, Kansas is one of the states that hasn't raised their minimum wage either. So it would be $7.95 an hour. Your medium rent would be $8.95 a month, but your pay would also be $7.95 an hour. So yeah, and that's the problem. Therein lies the rub. Right now in Japan, it's about the same. Which means that if I do get pushed out of here, there's no choice. I'm going to Japan. Because at least I can find something to do there and maybe join a university there. I've gotten tacit agreement that this won't go down until after I've graduated with my bachelor's degree. But it's one of those things. So what we've got is this. I've got to go talk to the Department of Education. The end of this whole mess is I got to go talk to the Department of Education and say, choose one. I really did. I came back because my wife wanted to come back. My wife is American, and she was not having any fun being a woman and a foreigner in Japan. And I don't blame her. And so she wanted to come back. Well, she's no longer really in my picture right now, so I could go back. The problem we've got is I'm really old for this job, so they don't really like people who are over the age of about 45 if you can avoid it. But I could go back and be an English teacher. That is definitely an option. And maybe do my master's and doctorate at night or something. But there are a few things that are a problem with this. One, if you go over there with, say, JET or the JET program, it's a 1-year contract, and they may or may not re-up your contract at the end of the year. So you may be coming back here in 1 year. Two, it does mean that, it would be hard. It's hard working in that school. It was hard when I was in my 30s. I don't know if it'd be much better in my 50s. We'll have to see. But it's definitely on the to-do list. So I will. That is definitely, actually, I hadn't really thought about that until just now. I'm going to write to the JET committee and say, because I put them off for 1 year. And what I will say to them is I'll say, I found out that my degree has been nullified and I need to go back and finish my bachelor's before coming back to Japan. So That might be the option right there, is just go back and teach in Japan again. And go back with the JET program, because JET will take me. But Interact won't. So any of the companies won't. So I can't play the company roulette, which is the game you play if you're going over there and want to stay longer. Is you stay with JET for 2 years, and then when they dismiss you or whatever, you move to another company so that you're staying in the same area, or you just move from one place to another place. You need a degree to teach anywhere. You need a degree to teach in Japan, and you need a degree to teach here in America. It's not, I mean, there are ways around that, but that involves you being a substitute for like 3 or 4 years. And the way that substitutes are treated, I feel like it would burn me out on being a teacher. Everybody I've ever met who's been a substitute typically says that they don't want to be a teacher anymore, because the kids are so mean to substitutes that you just end up with mean kids. And and all kinds of, you're at the worst position ever. You got mean kids, you got mean teachers, like the teachers don't give you any information and stuff like that. So I looked into that and then thought, it's probably not going to be a good choice. However, I mean, that's my thought. I mean, yeah. Oh, it's true of anywhere but the US. So, and you don't even need to be a native English speaker. You just need to be native level. I had a couple of buddies who were from Belgium and from various other countries around the world. I had a buddy who was German, and English was their second language, but they spoke English fluently. And so neither one of them had a problem with English, but obviously my Belgian buddy had a French accent, and my German buddy had a German accent. So, clearly, they weren't native. But also, they didn't have to have a degree. It's only the United States that requires a degree. And I'm not sure what the story is behind that, but there's a reason why American citizens can't go over there unless they have a degree. And I'll bet you it has something to do with the fact that in America, you have to have a degree in order to teach. Which, actually, I don't disagree with that logic. If you're teaching high school, you need to be one education degree above that. If it's the same thing, you can't go teach bachelor's degrees unless you have a master's degree, which makes sense, right? If you're teaching the bachelor's level, you have to have a master's degree. That makes some sense too. So I kind of get why that's the case. And it makes total sense, but it does mean that in order for me to do this, I'm going to have a bachelor's degree. And I think that's just going to end up, I just didn't want to have $1 billion in student loans. That's just not what I wanted. And it looks like it's what we're going to have. Looks like I'm going to have to pay for my college outright. And that's going to be, $6,000 per semester. And because I'm working part-time and stuff like that, I'm probably going to need assistance there. So, yeah. And that's because you probably have a similar system that we do, which is you can slip around it by being a sub for a while. If you're a substitute, then, you get the sort of the on the ground training, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like, you've been in the classroom, and they'd rather have people who were in the classroom. But they don't count my classroom time, because my classroom time in Japan was in another country, so they don't count that. And the last 6 years that I've spent in a classroom has been teaching driving school, so that's not counted either. Even though I've been in a classroom, and I teach 8-hour-day classes. So, I'm like, I don't know how they don't think that I'm qualified, but they don't. biases because they think I'm teaching by being in the car, which is what you usually think about when you think of driving school. You think, you get in the car, you have a student driving, and you're on the passenger side. They don't think about the 30-hour class that we're required to have here in Colorado specifically, which is in the classroom, where you literally stand up in the front of the class and talk about physics and talk about how a car reacts when going around a corner, and talk about why you shouldn't drink and drive, and all those things. And that's frustrating because it's like I actually do teach quite a bit. So it's all right. I'll get there. I'm just frustrated. It's just aggravating. You know what I mean? There is a solution. The solution is I go into insane amounts of debt at a time where it's questionable whether I will have a place to live in a city that's already outrageously expensive, where you're going to need to get a bank loan to buy a place or to have a place, which means I'm about to move into that zone again that we're usually in our 20s, where you'll never be able to afford a house or a car. So you have to just rent and lease and things like that. Lease your car forever and rent a house forever, thus just constantly wasting your money because you can't save and you can't ever. And I'm 50. I'm sitting here going, not saving is a bad thing to do right now. At some point in time, I won't be able to work, and then it's going to be, well, you don't have any money, so I guess, good luck. So I'm kind of, I'm freaking out because of the whole situation, the whole, I will probably be fine. Right? I'm not very good at the middle of nowhere. I'm not good at that. I like people. That's why I'm studying to be a cultural anthropologist, is because I like people. So being in the middle of nowhere isn't really a plus for me. That's all right. Thanks for listening. Yeah. Well, and the problem that I've got is if I quit college now, I will have done nothing more than incur a whole bunch more debt and not have a degree. So yeah, see, I can't stand the middle of nowhere. I've lived in the middle of nowhere in Texas and everything like that. I just can't do it. I mean, I feel for Brent. Brent, when was the last time you played a role-playing game? You know what I mean? Like, not saying necessarily that that's the case, but it won't matter. I mean, I guess we're kind of missing a point here, which is if I move to the middle of nowhere, I have to work at a McDonald's. There's like no jobs that I can do. There's nothing I can do. I still will require to have a bachelor's degree in order to become a teacher, so I can't be a teacher. So it's not like I can move to the middle of nowhere and go be a science teacher in a science teacher in Oakley, Kansas. I can't, because I still don't have the qualifications to be a teacher. So that's one of the reasons why going to Japan and being a teacher there, at least once I get my degree, I will have the qualifications to do that. So at least that's a middle of nowhere I can handle, because I would be able to go to the middle of nowhere, but I don't want to go to the middle of nowhere in Kansas and be a teacher. Online courses for what? Bachelor's degree? Or master's degree? I mean, like, of course there are online courses, but I mean, the online courses are not easier. So it's not like, I mean, we'd still be in the same position, except that I'd just be able to sacrifice sleep to do my online courses. So, I mean, it would just be one of those things. Like, I could probably, if you, I guess, if what you're suggesting is that I take all online courses and then get two jobs, then I'd be able to, say, work one job during the day shift and then work with my kid in the evening and then work a graveyard shift. And when I'm working with my kid, maybe doing my homework at the same time. Oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Move somewhere else. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to get the in-state tuition. Then it would be twice as expensive. So maybe, I don't know. Could also move to Lyman or something. Like somewhere out in the middle of nowhere, Colorado. And then do my classes. That's the other problem, though. I have a kid. No matter what we do, moving away from Denver is the same reason why Brent moved to Topeka. I have to stay in Denver so I can stay with my kid. Or else just accept the fact that, yeah, Burlington. Yeah, my problem is I just don't have the spoons left for all of this. I just don't have the energy, which is part of the reason why I'm feeling so down today. Is because I'm just like, I don't think that I feel like this isn't gonna work. I feel like we're not gonna be able to make it. And I know I'm gonna be able to make it. I just feel like I should have two jobs. Well, I guess three, because the photography job is one. So three jobs. And work at night on school or something. I feel like that should be the case. Not to see. I mean, it's going to be extra work come next spring because I need to do 15 credit hours. I mean, it is. Well, I guess it depends on how you look at it. This is the development years. I mean, imagine not having your dad around from 14 through the end of school. All your high school years, your dad wasn't anywhere near you. All your high school years and your college years, maybe, while I figure all of this out. So, and especially if I have to move to Japan, because then you'd only be able to see your dad once every year or 2 years, 3 years, whenever the prices and airplane tickets go down. So you'd only be able to see him once every couple of years. I mean, I kind of imagine that's sort of the situation. If I have to do it, I have to do it. And we'll do it. But that's part of the reason why it's sad. That's why I'm down, It's like I don't want to have to do that. That was a choice that Brent had to make. And I feel bad for Brent having to make that choice, but that's exactly the choice he was stuck with. And that wasn't half as cool for Brent either. I still feel bad for Brent. So Brent is closer to my situation as far as like all the setups. Yeah. Totally true. I mean, yeah, like I said, if we have to do it, we have to do it. But, it becomes a pretty rough and ugly situation. Still not cool. So it is what it is. It's what it's, right? Yeah. Well, and that's the issue that I'm, worried the most about. right? I mean, in the end, it's going to end up being the same thing as what Brent had to decide to do, because I've lived all my life here. My friends here go back to, some of my friends go back to elementary school here, you know? So I'd be leaving everybody, everybody I knew, you know, and going to someplace else where, who knows? I mean, maybe I would be able, like Brent, find a better job and stuff. But, on the same token, Brent is Brent is detached from his friend base. He's detached from his buddies, things like that. I don't know. Eh, it's just a lot. It's a whole lot of a lot. You know what I mean? Like, I'll make it work. It will be fine. I'll be okay. It's just a lot. And it's causing me to feel just exhausted thinking about it, because every maneuver on this, every move on this chessboard is going to require a lot of effort on my part to make things work. And it's going to require a lot of effort to make things work. And somehow I'm going to have to get a job, which has been difficult to accomplish for the last 15 years. And I've kind of given up on myself thinking that I'll ever get a job, because I haven't been able to get a steady, operable job. And in fact, even right now, this job that I'm working, no, it's all good, man. I'm not saying anything rude at all. You're going through all of the steps that I've already gone through. You just don't know them all yet, because I haven't told them to you. So there's complications to all of these pieces, I think the biggest thing is I had forgotten about the idea of going back to Japan until tonight. You guys brought that up. So that's not bad. Jet still accepts people at my age. I'm not at the age limit yet. So Jet will take me and put me over there to teach. And that's acceptable. So that's a plus. But I hadn't thought about that. The problem with Jet, of course, is that it's a 1-year contract, which is re-upped only if the school likes you. And there's a maximum of 5 years, I think, is it, and then you have to come back. You cannot stay. So that becomes sort of the clock is ticking sort of thing. Oh gosh, I hope so too. I hope so too, Brent. I hope you can get back here as well. No, but yeah, no, you're not bothering me at all. I'm just frustrated. I'm frustrated because I feel like I'm stuck between 3 or 4 different systems, and all of them expect me to just fix it. And then they're like, but don't break any rules while trying to fix it. Just fix it. It's kind of like, but I'm going to break rules. Either the rules are, the infamous, you can't. What's going to end up happening is going to be all of my personal things that are going to go down. Like, I'll have to get rid of the house that I live in that I'm so fond of, and I'll have to stop being with my child and move to a different location, and you know what I mean. It's just like, meh. All of these options are sucky and I don't like them, and that's all. I just, in order to just get a job, pay my bills, you end up kind of in a position of, you're not doing anything good for you, but you're at least, fulfilling all the checkmark boxes that society wants you to checkmark. Have job, have income, pay bills, so other people can go have fun with their kids. It just seems frustrating to me. That's all. So that's why I'm kind of rolling my eyes. I'm like, oh, here's where we go. We're gonna do the things, check all the boxes, and stuff like that. So it's all good. I'll be fine. I just need to grump about this for a little bit. And it's been 4 or 5 days of nonstop, you know, problem after problem after problem where, you know, all the things are starting to pile up and the pressure is starting to get on to make a decision. And I know that once I make this decision, it's a decision. Like, we're coming up on the next semester, and the semester starts on the 19th of August. If I haven't paid off that $5,500 that I owe them by the 19th, then I cannot go to school this next semester. I'll have to take a semester off. Well, my work pays really well during the summer, but that tapers off at the end of summer. And in fact, I don't even have any more work from like the 12th, I think, is the last day that I've really got work of any sort. And then I have 2 days after that through the rest of August through September 1. So after the 12th, I have 2 more days of work, and that's it. So I'm not getting a lot of income from that side until we get back kind of into an equilibrium on the other side. So, I mean, it's going to be one of those, I'll have to make the call to take out a lot of extra student loans right there and then, because I don't have an option on any of these things. And so it's just frustrating. Like, we're coming up on this whole thing, and it's like, I don't see a way out of this. It's just going to be a lot of student loans. And that's just the way it's going to be. And I'm just going to put myself way in debt again. And there's just no way out. And that's so frustrating. But again, I'll figure it out, and it's not like it's a complete stop. There definitely is. I mean, there's certainly an answer to this. It does have an end. I mean, I've got the option to take out a lot of loans. But before we started this, James and I had sat down and we talked about it, and he said, well, one of the big mistakes that people make when they go to college is that they have their student loans pay for their living expenses. He said college can be cheap so long as you don't have student loans pay for your college expense or for your living expenses. And I said, that's true. I won't do that. Here we are. I'm like, well, guess that's where we're going to be. And they're all unsecured too, because I can't take like federal loans. So these are all, ridiculously high interest rate loans that I'm taking out. So I'll start with, taking out 20 grand, but by the time we're done, I will have paid 150 or 100 or 200 grand, because that's the way it always works. These loans that's why I was saying I'll end up dying I'll die of old age before I pay these things off. But that means that for the rest of my life, I won't be able to buy a house. So I've by making this choice, we're pruning a branch of my future. I'll be living in an apartment for the rest of my life. And that's the branch we just made. I'll never own a house ever again. That's the end of it. And so that's where it's like, it's like, I know this is where it's going to be. So oh yeah. And I'm working too, but the reason and that's the problem, is that I have a whole bunch of part-time jobs. Well, therein lies the rub. I have a house, but I may lose this house. This is my house. I'm into this house. I like this house, but I may lose it. And if I lose this house, I'll never own a house ever again. But moreover, I can't buy this house. It belongs to my wife, but I can't buy it because my credit isn't good enough. Because I've got student loans. And it's like, like right now, I don't have a good enough job to buy the house. But my credit's fine, but I don't have the income to buy the house. By the time we're done with college, I should be able to get a job that will pay enough, but then my credit will be trashed because of the student loans. So that's what I'm saying is I know what this means. This means that I'm putting myself in. Oh, I don't know. I feel like living in an apartment is I don't know. Maybe it's fine. Maybe that wouldn't be a problem. I think really, the only thing I could think of is I really would love to have a car that, like be able to get a Katora truck and be able to keep it in the garage and tinker with it. But you have to have a garage in order to do that. So you'd have to have an apartment with a garage, which isn't impossible. But I'm just so tired of, there's no permanence in my life. Oh, we've raised your rent, so, hope you can pay more money. Oh, you can't? Well, then find someplace else to live, kind of stuff. I'm just, feels like my life has been just constantly on the move. And as I get older, I'm not going to like that I already don't like it. But when I'm 70, sitting in an apartment and them going, Guy, you need to come up with more money or else you're going to have to find someplace else to live. It's like, it'd been nice to have owned the house so that it's not a stress. Hey, Joshi. Good to see you, man. I'm having a grumpy night. Having a crappy night. It's all about money. I'm tired of money. Tired of not having money is what I'm really tired of. So, that's all right. So, fair warning. I'm feeling particularly cranky. So, we're having a problem because I am stuck between two worlds right now. And it's difficult. So, anyway. Came back from football. That's actually probably good, though. And since you're in the U.S., that's different than soccer. Yeah, the uncertainty. So, it's one of those things. Yeah. Yeah, some user, it's the uncertainty. I'm just tired of it. No pain, no gain. I agree. As they say, pain is weakness leaving your body. So, congratulations on the weakness leaving your body. So, anyway, that's about all the grumpiness I think I want to indulge in. I think I know where my solutions are. And if I can't get the Board of Education to change their mind, then I think my solution is just rack it up. I would love to say that was me, but I think it came from somebody else. I believe that's actually a military quote, like an army quote or something. Oh, yeah. And I think this will be fine too. And I probably am catastrophizing a little bit, and I'm probably making it sound worse than it really is. And all is good. And I will be fine. There are times where you're just hit with so many big problems that it's just, you just need to kind of go, wow, wow. You know, there's just so much. There's so much going on here. You know, so that's one of the things. I'm sure I will be okay. I'm sure all will be fine. Because I mean, logistically, everything has been fine, and it's just that. Why is it set for this? There we go. That's kind of nice. So I should add something. There we go. And I think that's very wise of you, by the way, some user. I appreciate that. I think I'll just set it for 20 degrees. So, one of the reasons that I'm super stressed out is we did get my furnace died. So we replaced my furnace, which put me in debt there too. So that was expensive. However, on the plus side, I can now control my furnace from here, which is really cool because like I'm trying to fix my routines so that during the day everything runs, because today it let this room get to 26 degrees, which is a little too hot for me. Like, it's still pretty warm in here. I'm not sure how warm. Computer, what is the temperature in the office?
The office temperature is 25 degrees.
Yeah, it's still 25 in here, which isn't bad. It's not bad at all. It's just that that's difficult for me to sleep at 25 degrees. So we've got to get it down from 25 to something a little bit better. So somehow it let that happen, and I'm trying to figure out what my furnace was doing that made it go, oh, I've got a great idea. We'll let it just do that. And so I'm kind of like, well, is there a way to show activity? Activity history. My thermostat is online. Okay, well, that didn't help me any. You're not helping me. So, yeah, it does. It's got a thermometer sitting right there, and then it's got the thermostat down in the living room, so it knows what the temperature in the house is at this point right behind me and downstairs. So it's a smart thermostat, because if I was going to get a thermostat, I wanted it to work with my current system. So that's where we're kind of at on this one. So there you go. But that's how it knows these things. but it is controlled by my phone. The thing that really bothers me is I wish that it would link better. I could use it on the PC on a website, but the website or it doesn't work on the website at all. You only can do it on your phone, which is aggravating and frustrating to me. So that's aggravating and shrug. Anyway, I'm I am not I'm not like I'm just having kind of crappy day today. It's not this isn't permanent. Just everybody has a day, you know. I feel kind of like I have them a lot these days, but only until we figure this problem out. Once we figure this problem out, we'll be fine. So, maybe. I mean, that plausibly. Who knows? Could plausibly do it. So, anyway, yeah, I'm just kind of having having an evening. Sometimes this happens, you know. You just have kind of a time where you're like, well, and what'll happen probably, the odds are good, is that at some point in time I will get to an equilibrium on this, and then I'll bet you what's really going to happen is it won't be as bad as I thought it will, right? Taking all of these loans, probably I will get through to the end of college and all will be well. And like I said, if I can just get the other side of the bachelor's degree, then things are a whole lot better because once you're on the other side of a bachelor's degree, that's pretty normal for someone to go to a master's and a PhD. So it'll be fine. You know, there will be all kinds of options opened up to me again for for um for as far as the student aid and financial aid and stuff like that. All new windows will open up for me. To boot, I can generally teach at the school once I've done that because I can teach then the undergrads. Once you're on a graduate degree, you can teach the undergrads. So if I can just get to the other side of this, we're going to be fine. We'll be okay. So, yeah, I mean, it's not one of the top tens for me either, but short of having five jobs, I can't see how I'm going to get out of this one. You know what I mean? Like, I'll just have a job for the morning, a job for the afternoon, and a job for the evening, and a job for midnight. I I don't have the energy for that. I just don't. There's not enough. I don't have enough. Uh, I just don't have enough. Enough spoons, if you will. So it's all good. It's all good. We'll figure it out. It'll be. It will be fine. It will be fine. I'll be okay. I just was trying to find a way that did this that didn't put me in them. Mostly because I feel like a lot of this getting into debt and student loans is predatory. I feel like there's a certain amount of um yeah. Yeah, that's my biggest problem is I've got a kid that needs to be assisted with, and so I can't I have to be here in the evening to help the kid with homework and schoolwork and all of that stuff. So that's not an option. So that can't happen. So the only time I'd ever be able to do it is to work a graveyard shift and a day shift job, and then help the kid during the evening and sleep 2 or 3 hours a day, and that's not sustainable. So that becomes one of those that's not worth it. Yeah, we just have to manage to make it through the remainder of this year until summer. Next summer, things change. Everything changes. Once I get my degree again, get a degree again. Once I get the degree again, then I'll be in the graduate program, and that's a completely different monster, and everything changes. So we'll sit there and do that, and all will be good. So, to boot, in order to graduate next June, it's going to be 2 semesters of 14 credit hours and 1 semester of 15. So next semester, I'm going to have to do 15 credit hours. So that's going to be very important that I clear as much as I can in order to keep a good GPA to still be an attractive pickup for CU Boulder. So it's just stressy. That's all. Just stressy. I'm stressing out right now, and I'll be fine. I just need to get to the other side, Just need to kind of push through to the other side, and we'll be fine. We'll be fine. All will be well. So, wondering if there's some way I can fix sort of this. We've kind of got this dark scene thing going. It's always so dark, in which I can configure it. Yeah, because the exposure is set low. See? Much better. I feel like my frame rate suffered a little for it. Not bad, no. Now you can see me. All right. There we go. So, yeah. We'll figure it out. We'll get this under control and all will be well. I'm going to go kind of take... What was it? My therapist said a great word, which was like... I can't remember what it was, but it was something like rugged acceptance or something like that, where it's like you have to buckle down and take it because there are no other options. You'll just have to accept it. And so, it is what it is, so we'll figure it all out. But yeah, it's that rugged acceptance. We'll have to accept the situation as it is. And it'll be fine. It'll be fine. We'll get there. We'll be okay. All will be well. I'm not worried about it not being well. What I'm worried about is me running out of energy. That's really what I'm worried about. Things are a lot more stressful, complicated. My body's starting to get cranky and not happy, and my back is stiff and my knees are stiff, and now I'm having to do all of this exercising stuff just to shake the body apart so that it won't stiffen up and stuff. So as I'm getting older, the arthritis is starting to set in and all of the things, and I'm like, ugh. And I don't have the unlimited energy to do 3, 4, 5, 6 jobs. And so I'm like sitting there going, if this becomes a 3, 4, 5, or 6 job thing, I may not have the power to do it. And so that's where I'm like, ugh, it's just stressful. All of it's stressful, but we'll get there. We'll be fine. So anyway, I've managed to gripe for the majority of this time. Isn't that nice? Look at me griping. Oh, hey, a little icon in the upper right-hand corner is me. It's kind of cool. All right, two more things. We gotta come up with this last piece here. Computer, what's the temperature outside?
Right now, 22 degrees Celsius. Tonight, expect a low of 16 degrees.
Still not quite cool enough out there to open up the window and turn on the fan. So I'm working on the comics, the last two pieces of this. I haven't been happy with the previous versions of issue 2 and 3 because I didn't feel like they solved the problem. I feel like they wandered aimlessly and didn't actually finish the story. So I wanted it to be more centered around the concept of the story, which was that there was a problem on the planet and we have this mysterious girl. And so between those two, I wanted to get to the end here where we solve those two things. And so that's what we're working on now is, all right, how much of this accomplishes that task? And I've been rewriting it and kind of rebuilding it and stuff like that. So that's what we're working on at the moment. So, and we're at the end of trying to figure out the second half or the last half of this story in the macro view. So kind of pulling ourselves all the way back and looking at it as one page. So if you were to look at this where there was 4 more squares over here to the left, which were the first 4 squares of our comic, then we've got these 4 are the center pieces of this comic set, and then these 4 are the last 4 pieces. So this will be 32 pages, and this will be 32 pages for a total of 64 pages between all 4 of these, separated up into quarters, so to speak. That's not what I meant to say. This is the last issue. This is 32 pages. The other 32 pages is right here. So this is the issue 2, and this is issue 3. And so all I'm doing is kind of looking at the macro section of this. So from the top down, what are the pieces of this that need to happen? So issue 2 is pretty much done with this macro setup. Now we're on issue 3, and I'm just trying to get this last section, 6 and 7 right here, to connect properly. So we've come in here, and with this situation, we have all of this, and we're kind of at that last section, and I'm just trying to figure out this is then the climax, so we'll just call this the right Kitty Wake is about to execute Chang's plan. Alex pulls the thread. And a gate opens. There we go. 7 we'll have to kind of work on a little bit. Scene 7's going to be complicated, but we'll see how that goes. But we do need to say the gravity here is due to the lost thread. All right. So, spoilers for those of you who have been following me on this one. There are 3 issues to this episode. Each episode in Bellatrix Rising has 3 issues, issue 1, 2, and 3. So this is episode 1, issues 2 and 3 that we're working on. Issue 1 already exists and is out there. So this is issue 2 and 3 to wrap this story up. In issue 1, we met our intrepid crew of the spaceship Kittiwake as she travels to this world called Moment. Moment is a planet out in the middle of nowhere. It's the boonies. There's nobody out there. But they're out there to pick up a senator who's out there peddling for votes, as you might imagine. When they show up in the Moment system, though, the ship is racked with a whole bunch of bizarre gravity eddies that mess up the ship pretty badly. But since it's a military ship, it just makes everybody fall out of their chairs effectively. They get into the system to find that the planet Moment has moved around the star to a place where it's not. I mean, it's just moved. So it's not in the right place. The planet's not in the right place. That's another thing. Space-time is a little broken, because that was the other problem, right? Was that space-time had gotten messed up. So when I originally wrote it, I've written a number of different versions of 2 and 3, but I feel like they got all caught up in things that didn't need to be caught up in. Like, there was already enough stuff going on, and I had all of these other things going on. Well, they get to Moment, and when they get to Moment, they find the senator, and the senator has found one survivor in this entire 200-kilometer dead zone, and it's this 14-year-old girl, and they bring her aboard, and she's speaking perfect 21st century English. Well, this is the 25th century, 26th century. No. Yeah, it's the 26th century. So nobody speaks English anymore. They all speak a hybrid language that everybody speaks. So it's weird that she speaks it without an accent, and she speaks English fluently and all of this stuff. Not bizarrely weird, but weird. So what? I'll be with you in just a sec. So that the problem we had was, at the end of that, we've set up this plot. What's the story with Moment, and what's the story with this girl? Right? So then it was okay, good, but what have you done? Right? So what I'm doing here is trying to kind of figure out how to make this second one work. So from here, we have then issue 2. Issue 2 walks in with a Thomas Bregman, which is a freighter. The freighter leaves Moment to go call for help, so to speak, but it blows up at the edge of the solar system. Then the second scene, we've got Alex, the girl, in in medical bay, and this cat shows up and comes over to her and then whispers in her ear and says, "Follow my lead. Don't tell them what's going on." And so that you're like, well, that's even stranger. Now all we've done is just complicate this and made it even weirder. So then the third scene is between the captain and the first officer, and they're talking about problems, and the girl is now awake. And so then the fourth scene is my characters Better Spec and Legend, who are the gravitics officer and the pilot. They're talking about a problem with trying to find the freighter. They can't find the freighter. It's gone because they don't know that the freighter blew up. So we cut back to medical, where the girl is talking to Chang, the captain, and she kind of lies to the captain, and the captain says, "That's fine. Well, we've got other work to do, so we're going to put you on moment and then go fix this other work, and then we'll talk to you later." Because she's not a threat as far as Chang can see. And then in scene 6, then that's where Legend and Better Spec tell Chang that they think that they can't find the Bregman, the freighter. To which Chang says, "This is stupid. We're a military ship. We shouldn't be losing freighters. They're freighters. They're not. They're not trying to avoid us. So let's go find them." So they decide to go to the outer part of the system to find the Bregman. And then we've got scene 7 right here, which is Alex and Max, the cat. They watch the kittiwake leave. Then, Alex says, "Why did you want me to lie to them?" And they start talking about this. And this is where you find out that there's more to Alex than it seems. She's got more going on here. So it's one of those things of why she goes, "I think I know why I'm supposed to be here," yada, yada, yada. You find out there's more about Alex going on. And then in scene 8 of this issue, the kittiwake shows up out at the edge of the solar system to find a debris field of the Thomas Bregman. And then this wave of gravity that destroyed the Bregman comes up to hit the kittiwake. Cut. That's the end of issue 2. Now we're on issue 3. First scene is the kittiwake was damaged, but not badly damaged. So she'll get herself back up online in a minute here and get moving back. But we've got to talk a little bit that Moment is very, very far away. So it's going to take 3 years for a light signal to reach a repeater to talk to anybody and get help. So they've got to find a better way to get out of here. And then in scene 2, we see Alex and Max driving around, getting away from the recovery effort, where the cat is saying, "Well, we need a ship in order to finish our mission." And Alex saying, "Well, what about the kittiwake?" And, stuff like that. So we can kind of have that discussion there. And now you're like, wait a minute, now is the girl trying to steal ships? Is that what she's doing? Kind of giving a red herring there. In scene 3, then we have Chang talking to the chief engineer, and she's trying to think out a way to stabilize the gravity problems that are out here. And she has this plan that's techno, right? She's got this plan to enact, but it's going to damage the kittiwake in doing so. And then in scene 4, we cut back to Alex waking up at night, and she's looking at the stars, and then she asks these important questions like, weren't we dead? And yes, we were dead. Well, why are we not dead now? Sort of things like that. And Max and her are having this talk. This is the cat, by the way. The cat is an AI. It's not a real cat, obviously. And then Alex then says, "Well, I think that Chang has come up with a plan that's not going to work." And Max is like, "How do you know this?" And that's where Alex says, "I know." And you're like, okay, now there's something even more complicated going on with Alex. In scene 5, then, the kittiwake is there. It's coming back to the kittiwake trying to execute the plan. Better Spec and Mayrel are talking about being stranded and not being able to ever get, it's going to take them 6 to 8 months for help to get there and yada, yada, yada. Right. And then in scene 6, we've got Alex kind of powering up some kind of special power. We don't know what's going on, but she's talking to Max about this, about a thing called dark music. And it's something else that's going on. And she's starting to and then she starts explaining that the space time around this solar system is messed up. And one of the jobs she's been put here is to fix this problem. So she's going to summon a thread, which is the way that the light speed, faster than light travel, happens in threads, but only if you're anywhere near a thread. And there is no thread out here. That's why you have to travel the long distance, which maybe that's something I'm going to need to explain somewhere along the line. Maybe here. Thread, travel. And I'm going to bow out of the show here in a second, but if only we had a thread out here, yada, yada, yada. Kind of feel like I don't necessarily want to put it there. I want to put it somewhere in the other episode, but because it feels like it's a little, like right up, like maybe something in here. There we go, something like that. There we go. All right. I think that's pretty much it. I think I've at least battened this down a little bit. I feel better about where it is. I'm going to go to bed because I got to work tomorrow. So I'm bowing out. I'm glad you guys were with me. I hope that long litany of discussion puts you to sleep, some users, so that you won't have insomnia. And I will see you later, my friend. Have a good evening. I think Brent is still out there somewhere. Maybe Brent's still out there. He may have gone to bed already, which is, that's fine. That's fine. And I'm hoping Joshi is still out there, but maybe not. Joshi may have gone to bed as well, which is also good because Joshi, man, I get to playing the football thing. That's ugly. Earlier today, we did have a visit from MD4840, but they went to bed. So I appreciate them being here either way. I hope you all have a wonderful evening, and some user, I hope you have a good day. I hope you can finally go to sleep. And of course, as always, keep your eyes on the stars. Goodbye, bye.